Listen, maybe I'm going to start a new series on teaching literature since I used to do it and I don't do it anymore, but I still want to do it, but not with the confines that I would have to face today in an actual classroom. Because, I scour these internets as I doom scroll when I can't sleep. And I find that we are severely lacking in ability for literary analysis, or just analysis. Could be film analysis. It's all the same thing. If you can analyze, you have to be able to discern and know what's being said and what's unsaid, and how what is unsaid impacts what's being said, and the tone and the mood and how everything plays together to create meaning, and how your own personal experiences, life experiences, world experiences influence how you perceive and receive those messages and that symbolism. And how, because if you haven't experienced certain things in certain ways, you might not understand as well some of the things that are going on in the story. When you have a life that maybe doesn't have as much depth or emotional expression, or you weren't raised to have an understanding of certain kinds of emotional depth and complexity and expression, you might miss so much that's happening right in front of you, whether it's visually on a screen or in the pages of the book. Like, it's sad for me to see how much is lost because we've become a society of SpongeBob watchers. Everything, like, at these rates of speed to where the brain can't ever fully digest anything because it's changing so fast. I don't know if you've ever actually looked it up, but they did studies, and kids that watch SpongeBob versus like things that we watched when we were kids, like DuckTales, even Alvin and the Chipmunks, David the Gnome, like those things happened at a slower pace. The images changed at a slower pace. All of that was meant to build complexity, where we learned how to use context clues. It wasn't just all given to us. It wasn't just told to us what was happening. We actually had to infer. And this is why it's so hard for kids now to do inferencing, because they're not made to infer anything. They're given what's happening. Or teachers don't make kids infer. They just give them what's happening. And then we wonder why they can't problem solve. Simple problem solve. Because we're doing it for them. And they're not learning how to use context clues to come to conclusions. It's like they just went out there to Office Space and got those jump to conclusions mats and started jumping around and hoping for the best. And that's not how that works. It's like when I get frustrated with people that are Doctor Who fans, and bear with me, stay with me here, who are adamant that the 12th Doctor and Clara were platonic. And that tells me that they weren't paying attention. There's no way you could actually watch their episodes and think that they were a father-daughter relationship. People that come to that conclusion missed a whole bunch of steps They missed a whole bunch of things that were happening, whether they were explicit or implicit. They missed stuff that was right there, obvious. You don't even have to have the actual verbal confirmation from Peter Capaldi and Jenna Coleman and Stephen Moffat themselves, which does exist. You don't even need that, though, if you can look at what's being said, what's being done, what were the looks that were given, what was the tone of voice things were said in, what was the music that was playing in the background, what were other people doing and reacting to what was happening. Like, characterization and analyzing characterization is a lost art. And I think, again, I just feel like maybe I need to like do some lessons. We can break out, I'll break out some anchor charts and teach you some acronyms to help you remember how to do character analysis. We could do postmortem of a protagonist on here. It's one of my favorite ways to do characterization when I teach my students. Love to do that. Because you have to break a character down to their pieces. The things they said, the things they saw, the conflicts they got involved in, the things they thought about, the things other people said about them, the other ways that people treated them. Like, all of that is important. But if you're not paying attention, and if you're one of those people that you don't have the patience to read those things and figure them out and decode them for yourself, you have to be told, just tell me what's happening. This is too frustrating. You're frustrated because no one's ever really taught you how to have the patience to break all of that down. And that makes me sad. Just like, one of my favorite things to teach was Shakespeare. Not all of Shakespeare. Again, I've said in a previous video, I'm not a huge Romeo and Juliet fan, and I never will be. And that can be a whole video in and of itself. But Shakespeare's sonnets, I loved teaching poetry. When I got to poetry, it was one of my favorite things. And I loved teaching Shakespearean sonnets. I loved teaching about iambic pentameter and how brilliant it is that Shakespeare could write like that. It's like people don't understand how difficult it is to write everything you write in iambic pentameter. In case you don't know, an iamb is 2 beats. Pent means 5. So that means it's a meter of 5 sets of 2 beats. Which is how many? 10. So 10 beats per measure, stressed and unstressed syllables. Anyway, again, I'll have to make videos because y'all are going to lose me. Or I'm going to lose you, I should say. But I love teaching sonnets, and I used to love using Alan Rickman's audio. I mean, I have a lot of sonnets memorized, and the one that I really like has an Alan Rickman audio. So even though I could recite that one word for word, I like to let him do it because it's brilliant. And that one is Sonnet 130, by the way. Anyway, I liked teaching that one, 130. Because, so when you teach sonnets, Shakespearean sonnets have 14 lines. They have 3 quatrains and a couplet. So if you use your math terms, right? Your roots, quatrains, that means they're 4 lines, sets of 4 lines. So 3 quatrains is 12 lines. So 3 stanzas with 4 lines each. And then the couplet, which is 2. Great thing. They rhyme AB, AB, which means like the first and third, the second and fourth lines rhyme with each other. This is probably a whole other video we could be doing, but just so you can stay with me here. The couplet in 130 changes the entire meaning of the poem. The whole shift. There's another fancy academic word for you, shift. And it's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And I used to love teaching poetry analysis using this because it has layers. Yes, Shakespearean language is difficult for kids. And I love when they try to be like, Miss, we don't know that Old English stuff. And I'm like, that's really cute. But Shakespeare is actually technically considered modern English, not Old English. There's Old English, Middle English, and Shakespearean English. Modern English falls under Shakespearean English. But that blows their minds when I used to do that as a warm up, as a quiz. Like, which one of these is Old English? And they would pick Old English for Shakespeare. And I'd be like, that's cute. But no, I know you think it is because it still feels awkward. But then you show them Old English and they're like, you used to really like using Seamus Haney's Beowulf for this, because the side by side of the original and then the English translation was perfect for this. And then Chaucer for Middle English, perfect. And then Shakespeare. And then I'd say, which of these seems more modern? Oh, yeah, it's definitely the Shakespeare. There you go. So anyway, back to the sonnets. I love that. And I used to teach fractions, which is a poetry analysis technique, that and TPCast, but I really like fractions the most. Newsflash, my daughter just graduated high school this past school year. She did not get taught a single poetry analysis technique. Now, she did technically because I taught her. But in school, they just said, analyze these poems, and didn't give them a way to actually analyze the poems. Do you realize how crazy that is? That's nuts. So yeah, maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do some poetry analysis videos for y'all too, because I just feel like I love doing that. Again, love poetry, love teaching it, love Shakespearean poetry, sonnets, plays, whatever. But yes, it's difficult because you have to decode what Shakespeare's saying. But when you do it with a strategy like fractions, it's just so much easier. But I digress. All of this to say that I really think I'm going to do this series. And I don't exactly know where I'm going to start because there's so much. I mean, the episode we're going to have on how to use a semicolon. Oh, yes. That will be brilliant. Love teaching people how to actually use a semicolon. And there's only 2 proper ways to use a semicolon. So yeah, I think I'm going to do this. I just got to make a plan of how I'm going to put this content together. And hopefully somebody will actually watch it and care, because I'm going to be real sad if nobody watches it and nobody cares at all about me doing any of that. But if you happen to be someone out there that needs help with English, send me a little comment and tell me what you need help with, and maybe I'll make a video about that. Anyway, love y'all.